we've rebuilt the Star Bridge, but someone's trying to blow it up. We've only got seconds. You got to cut the blue wire. He's like, I can't see it. I don't know. I can't see blue. Oh. Star Bridge blows up again. Hail, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about Foundation, Season 1, Episode 6, Death and the Maiden. And as you can tell, Paul today is playing me. So Paul gets to roll his eyes at me in this episode. We open this episode with Trantor's brother Day journeying to the moon known as the Maiden, hence Death and the Maiden, to influence the election of the new Proxima, which is like the head of this 3 trillion member religion called Luminism. Demerzel is a believer as well. He favors Galat, but the charismatic Halima is seen as a threat to the status quo. She doesn't think the clones of Cleon have souls, that they're incapable of spiritual growth. That's kind of what that's how we begin. We end with Salvor, Hugo, some Foundation folks, and some Anacrians leaving Terminus in a ship, heading to find the abandoned planet-killing ship Invictus. Anacrian troops have been left behind with the rest of the Foundation settlers to ensure that all goes smoothly. So, Paul,
yes?
What did you think of Episode 6?
I liked it. Even though there were things I didn't like about it. I was not crazy about them fridging Salvor's dad. It's like...
Right from the wire.
It's too bad, yes. Too bad, Salvor didn't know she was in a TV show where she could have stopped her dad right there. Whoa. Sounds like you're trying to say something heartwarming, Dad. Oh, you don't want to get killed.
That's right.
We're going to cut that out. Let's wait till the dangers pass, and then you can tell me that stuff.
Well, also, I mean, we'll talk more about it, but in that moment, what was a little odd to me was, he sacrifices himself to blow up the ships.
Yes.
But then they're like, the next beat is, okay, on to the next part of the plan to blow up the next ship. It almost feel like his ghost comes up like, wait, what? Wait a minute. I thought I was doing this like, all right, we won the day. No, we haven't actually. All right.
Maybe you've got an uncle you can blow up to get this one done.
Right, exactly. I think we chatted about this a little bit before, but this episode yet again demonstrates that this show is in fact 2 shows. The first show is a quality, clever, engaging sci-fi spin on the fall of an empire, Trantor, based on hereditary rule, and I'm like all in. Anytime that stuff's on, I'm like, ooh, interesting. Oh, yeah. The second show is a passable Star Wars style story with some clunky plot lines. I just say less Terminus, more Trantor, please. I'm all in on Trantor. Man, that stuff just very engaging. I'm all in on the Trantor plot. And every time they come to Terminus, I'm like, okay, let's go. Prove it to me, Terminus. So one of the things we learn about Luminism is that it echoes the Cleons quite a bit, in that they've got the backstory to Luminism is there's 3 goddesses, the Maiden, the Mother, and the Crone, who were basically originally one entity that split off into 3. I mean, it's like on the nose. Cleon becomes dawn, day, dusk. Maiden, Mother, Crone. I mean, it's like the same origin story for these particular institutions, except this one's much older, so it has precedence in that way. One thing that was interesting was Demerzel describing Luminism and why she practices it. She says that Luminism guides her towards truth. And I think she says, like, as though towards the center of a great spiral. And boy, when she said that, I was like, she's an android talking about, like, finding a trail of truth in a spiral. It made me think of Westworld Season 1. Anyway, I was like, whoa, robots in the maze. But yeah, so she's all in on it. In fact, at the end, she joins the crowd in bowing down to Halima.
Yeah.
Basically humiliating the one guy standing
Yeah.
who happens to also be Brother Day. So that's a big moment there, where she's saying this religion in this moment is more important to me than my affiliation with you, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
really. You might want to check the programmers of her. You know?
Right.
Hey, what is with this here?
Yeah, like because he even mentions, at one point, like, you know what your purpose is. It's to serve us. What?
Yes.
She's like, and she's showing in this moment. No, actually, I guess while we're talking about that, somebody had pointed this out online, and then there was even another little addition to this thing. It's the Shadow Master Obrecht. Okay, Shadow Master Obrecht. I hadn't realized it at first, but online I saw that. Oh yeah, right. He's the guy that in episode 1 on Brother Day's orders kills the painter.
Yes.
Okay, and now we see him 30 some odd years later or whatever, and he's still the same. He looks the same. And in this episode, he like one-ups it by turning invisible.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're like, whoa, okay.
Maybe that's how he stays young.
Yeah.
People aren't seeing me too much, so it's not wearing out this face.
Oh, I see. We were told, or even led to believe, that Demerzel's the last robot after whatever wrote Wars, but
yes.
I mean, he's either a very advanced clone that they keep bringing back as a Shadow Master,
I would think,
or he's another robot that obviously does not obey Asimov's laws of robotics. But anyway, so it's interesting. That guy's...
I mean, I find it hard to believe that it's not a clone. I mean, it's sort of like, hey, like no one ever notices it.
Yeah, right. Why wouldn't Demerzel know? Like, oh yeah, well, there's that other robot you guys have all the time.
Right. Presumably it's a clone.
Also, we saw them again. I think they're called the Spacers, but the creatures, and Brother Day, the current Brother Day, says, the Spacers have been engineered for such travel, but I don't consider them human, or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And so what are they? Yeah, they are bizarre looking, I'll say that. So the current Brother Dusk is spying on Dawn. He's using the Shadow Master Obrecht to spy on Dawn, among other things. And so, for instance, Obrecht finds the birds that Brother Dawn shot, which were like more than the kill count. And he was trying to hide the fact that he had killed more birds than Brother Dusk.
And that seems like a really obscure sort of symptom there. It's sort of like, wait a minute, you are being magnanimous to someone who is older than you. What is that? You are clearly defective.
Well, I think it's more out of fear, I think, is the idea. I think he's like, if I show him up too much, I create an enemy out of one of the other Cleons, maybe? I don't know.
Right, but in terms of why he'd be suspicious, like, let me find these birds. What's going on with this young guy? Ooh.
He happened to shoot a lot of them. I think the reason...
I'm colorblind, but I'm a really good marksman. Therefore, I'm a danger to everyone.
So we don't know. I mean, we get the idea perhaps that Dusk knows that he's colorblind, but we don't know that for a fact. Dawn calls being colorblind like his secret that he reveals to Azura.
Yes. Why would you think that Dusk knows?
Well, just maybe he's putting things together. I don't know. Maybe because he's also spying on him with the concubines, right? So
yes,
it's like,
yes.
Hey, I like the thing of like, you can say whatever you want because we wipe their memories. Eventually. Okay.
After you're debriefed.
Yeah, after they say everything you said to me, then we wipe their memory. So it's like you're talking to nothing. We get the idea that the reason he was good at shooting those birds is Brother Dusk drops the thing of like, when you're hunting them, look for their motion, not their color. He even says that. So you're like, okay. So the colorblind guy he doesn't care about their color.
That's
so he's good at shooting.
Put that together. Very good, Matt. Very good.
Thank you. I thought for a second, because I remember I matted Azura. I think that's her name. And boy, they're standing on the ledge. And
I think that's part of your anger at the planet there, because you didn't mat her dad. Salvor's
that's
dad.
right.
So that's part
Oh,
of
good
your
point.
anger
I didn't-
at the planet is that you didn't.
Because she even says the thing where they're standing on the ledge, and then she says, "If I were trying to keep a secret, I'd
Right,
push
yeah,
me
yeah,
off."
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh right, here it comes." But instead, they kiss. I still feel like he's probably not going to do away with her, but there's a whole lot of people who might. So Azura, I think, is still in danger zone time. That whole bit there where he reveals his secret to her because he's having her describe the colors of the flowers, that he hasn't been able to see this garden that's laid out before him. What do we think is the reason for his color blindness? I think I can think of two possible reasons. One's kind of obvious, and one
If it's
isn't.
some weird genetic thing, they're trying to say that he's potentially could make decisions that are different than what we've seen from previous people.
Surely, but I mean, like in other words, why? Why is this supposedly perfect clone colorblind, whereas no one else is? It suggests either he's like a copy of a copy of a copy, and so like an inbreeding type thing has come through, or
yes,
or because of what we saw this episode with Demerzel, she's way into the Luminism. Right? She chooses Luminism over Brother Day.
Yeah.
And in fact, she bows to this sentiment that, if you just copy yourself over and over again and you don't die and, you don't improve as a person, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe because she's the one. We saw in an episode, maybe 2 episodes ago, something like that. She's the one in charge of the clone babies. Remember, there's a pit where Brother Dusk comes in, she's like, "You can't be here," and she sends him away. I mean, possibly she threw in a little alteration into the clone in order to create a different person, because of her belief system. She's like, in order to make the Cleons change, I'm going to introduce some changes, maybe.
That's an interesting theory. You establish the whole idea, how much are they imprisoned by the fact that they just are not willing to change when change is necessary. So you created this metaphor whereby, you have all this cloning going on where it's even more than, you were saying, inbreeding, which is what, back in the day people thought was led to the problems that the royalty were having, and that their gene pool was too small. But of course, this is just one person. And while, the idea that genetic changes of the magnitude that, would make a difference might be introduced, maybe scientifically that might be questionable. But, in terms of the story, it's hard to think of another reason why you would want to introduce this thing we just wanted to have this little difference. That's all. I mean, if he's at all different, then, presumably it's going to make a difference in how he ultimately, when he becomes the ruler, makes decisions. I mean, it's hard not to see it from that perspective. Or if that's what Dusk and then Day see, then they might, decide, okay, this is a bad one. Let's get rid of him. And,
right.
Is
that,
it's like one
does
thing
that,
I
does that
thought
happen?
was going to happen when, and I guess it still hasn't been completely overruled, but it's sort of like, maybe you shouldn't have been going out to that planet where someone could kill you. Maybe you shouldn't go there, Day.
Yeah, no,
let
because
the
it
old
is
guy
unconventional.
who doesn't have so much time left on this earth.
Yeah, good point. Does he get off that planet? Maybe this isn't what happens, but maybe episode 10, it's like, okay, whatever, we've rebuilt the Star Bridge, but someone's trying to blow it up. We've only got seconds. You got to cut the blue wire. He's like, I can't see it. I don't know. I can't see blue. Oh. Starbridge blows up again.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
You're right, though. Good point that it seems like Brother Day is perhaps in a little danger as well. Maybe we do see that. And also how casual Brother Dawn is about dropping his protective bracelet, here. And so it does suggest that we're coming to a spot where a Cleon or two is going to die, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, because unexpectedly, it's like, what's supposed to happen is the fall of the Empire, and they're called Empire. Everybody refers to them. Hello, Empire. How are you, Empire? Now it's like I feel like introducing some sort of bet that would require you to eat candy about how many. I've
got a candy bet.
Of Empire is all matted.
I have a theory that I think I'm willing to bet candy on. We'll talk about it a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
It's not a matting, but it's a.
Okay. All right. It's all good for candy eating.
For candy eating. So when Brother Day is on the Maiden, it's a moon that's like covered in salt. He attempts to say, hey, look, if you pick the right Proxima, I'll give you guys a desalination plant and you can have water, which is almost like why didn't you do that before? But okay, anyway, they're like using it as hostage. And then, so this Halima, who is the one who's kind of anti-Cleons, comes up and gives this big charismatic speech. And it does seem like she's probably, in the context of the story, she's the one who's likely to win.
Oh, yeah. So now that we talked about everything you liked.
Everything, yeah, now we're going to talk about everything I like. I'm going to pick up Kidlore again. Hey, Kidlore. I know. You can come back here. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Probably cut this out. All right, maybe not. I don't know. Kidlore's very popular on the show. One of the big things from the Terminus section is that Salvor has this vision.
Yes.
Right, kind of an ill-timed vision, but she has this vision of what happened when Rach killed Harry.
Yes.
Which is kind of confirms what we suspected, which is that Harry ordered him to kill him. It was a little weird.
I thought it was definitely weird in that the way he phrased it, sort of like, this is gonna go fucked up unless you kill me.
Yeah, like the reasoning was a little like, what? So, yeah. And the fact that he says it aloud to Rach. So like he tells him his reasoning. My reasoning is, I don't trust you to stay away from Gale if I tell you that it'll doom the galaxy. So instead, I'm going to tell you to murder me, which will force you to go on the run, and you'll be forever the guy who killed Math Jesus. So it's just weird that like Rach trusts Harry enough to kill him strictly on Harry's say-so. Look, you have to kill me. But he wouldn't trust Harry enough to say, hey, go to Helicon by yourself for the good of the galaxy. Like, what? Like, if you gave me the options of like, you can either leave the ship and go to Helicon by yourself, and you have to kind of give up this relationship you have for the good of the galaxy, or you have to murder me and be like, potentially caught and executed. I'd be like, okay, I'll choose option A. Like what? Why does one have to have? Anyway, it was just a weird thing of like, I have to force you off this ship by yourself.
Yeah.
And of course, it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, no, because in the split second, you're like, I guess I should send her away and then die. What?
Yeah, because it even mentions, Harry does mention something like, everything's programmed for you. Don't go see her. Because if you do, she'll get accused, and we don't want her accused. We want her safe. So it does feel like, unless it was like a huge reverse psychology, I feel like the plan was to have Gale survive, not be accused of anything, and then make it to Terminus. I think was the idea, and that meanwhile Rach would be on.
Yeah, I keep thinking of ways to help him with this plan. Like, maybe you should have locked her door so she couldn't get out, and then everybody would have said, well, her door was locked.
Right,
she couldn't have been involved.
The other thing that was a little weird is that Salvor name drops a Seldon crisis on this. She goes like, this is the first Seldon crisis, which is a thing in the books. Yeah. These Seldon crises are a series of things that kind of define the culture.
Well, it's funny, whenever there's a problem, she's like, God, I gotta convince these guys to do something that's crazy. Wait a minute, let me use
the Seldon crisis
plan that I keep alternately calling crap.
Yeah. But it's like, she
and
shouldn't
also
know
it's like
that
her brain
term.
is like, Well, she was raised by the people who are following the plan. I mean, everybody around her is following this plan.
But did they know what a Seldon crisis is? She says this is the first Seldon crisis, suggesting that, like, I don't know, it's just in her vocabulary of like, I'm waiting. Ah, there it is. This is it. So, and it's a little weird, but in any case, it is what it is.
Okay.
She identified it very succinctly.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you would think that it would be a conversation that people would be talking about. Like, oh, I wonder when those Seldon crises are going to happen. You think today?
Yeah. The thing, though, that bugged me about this episode with Terminus was the further reveal of the Anacrian plan. Because I feel like this plan only works because a scriptwriter says this is going to work on a page. like they're made out to be almost like a Moriarty level mastermind. They're like, okay, if we take out the buoy, Trantor is going to send a ship, which we're going to lure out of orbit, and our leader will get captured by them. Trantor will put our leader in a tower that with the barrier field generator. She will make out her fake eye and an EMP burst, allowing us to take the city. Then we're going to take the captain and the Terminus scientists and use them to pilot the ultimate weapon. I'm like, man, there's a lot of steps, and there's so many variables. For instance, we need that captain. We need the Trantor captain alive. So we're going to blow up the ship with him in it, send it crashing to the planet's surface where it just explodes, massive explosions.
Wait. Now, they said that the ships were built so well that if you're in there, you're really likely to survive a crash. They said that.
Did they say that?
Yeah, they actually did.
Okay. Well, they showed him crawling through the wreckage. You're like, okay,
just before he crawled out or close to that point, they're like, oh yeah, they built these things really good.
Yeah.
Just look around for anybody crawling around.
Yeah.
They only hurt much to keep them from walking around. Just so they have to crawl. But they aren't hurt more than that.
It just seems like there are other ways you could have got the captain other than blow up the ship, have it crash into a planet, and then look through the wreckage. Because we need him. They've got a very specific list of folks they need. Right? They're like, okay, we need these people, right?
Jeez.
And yet, they're like, okay, send our army in and just shoot anything that moves, kill everyone, and then
4 or 5 pilots
right
there.
Right. You're like, let's get we killed them all. Oh, well, there's our plan. You're like, what? I mean, if the plan is that important, you don't send all your troops in just shooting guys on the street. Yeah. Anyway, that was weird too.
They were so clearly shooting people who, they probably would have surrendered if you just
right.
It's like, hey, I got you in my sights. I could either shoot you or oops, oh my finger. It always is shooting. I'm sorry.
It was just so that whole thing just seems so weird. It's like they're taking a hammer to this plan, but the plan's so important, and it all works out. You're like, okay, fine.
Well, maybe she promised them, like, okay, we got to find a pilot. Well, I don't want to do this unless I get to kill a bunch of people. Well,
you're right. Okay,
it'll work out.
Let's hope the scientists stay indoors.
Yeah.
The other part that was a little odd, I don't know. I guess in the moment you do what you do, but it's the part where Hugo gives the unbreakable control privileges to Salvor to his ship without any verification from her. Like she don't have to say anything. He's just like speaks in some language, but basically telling the ship, give all access with no possibility of transfer to Salvor Harden. And I suppose he's trying to save her in that moment, I guess, because they were going to shoot her. And so he's trying to make her important. But if the plan is to keep the Anacrians grounded, which it is, why not? I don't know. If you can do that, you can, grant control of the ship to someone off-world, someone who's dead. I mean, the new owner doesn't have to announce themselves. It's almost like you put a big target on her to be like, well, she's got to steer the ship now. But you could easily just give it, here, control is now unbreakable to someone who can't run the
Lincoln.
Ship. Right.
Someone not even in our universe.
Well, there is an Abraham Lincoln on Cestus Prime, so we'll have to go there. But, so it's just weird. That was a little odd. It seemed like a plot convenience of see, it's unbreakable control. She can't possibly give it to anyone else, and she has to be their control. But then I have to help her to control the ship. Okay. What if she fell unconscious or something? Would the ship just be doomed? Well, she can't. Nothing. No one can run the ship. It's impossible. There'd be a ton of just just derelict ships out in the universe because the one person who can control it can't control it, so never mind.
And see, it's a good thing that Harry Seldon died because if he was around, he'd be like, "This is some crazy whack. I don't even know the math for this."
Right? How would I possibly have predicted this?
No way.
That's pretty good. I like that. Okay, here is my candy bet. I'm not sure what candy I'm offering up. I still have actually a pack of salt licorice that I got as an emergency and then didn't need it.
What?
That was back, like when I was trying to find any salt licorice, I ordered some and then I found some. So I have a bag, and I of course have not eaten it because it's terrible.
The makers, this company that makes it, we're like, woo! All right,
yeah. We got a sale. Two. So I do have. I have salt licorice that's now aged salt licorice that I'm gonna throw on this bet, and I think it's this season even. So even only 4 episodes left. Salt licorice theory is Salvor Hardin is the daughter of Gale and Rach. Boom! Huh? Is this, did this occur to you at all, perhaps, before I mentioned it, or no?
I thought Gale was in the present time now. She's not?
She is.
We missed her giving birth? She said that she had... Okay. Because she obeyed the rules, so her genetic material isn't inside of her, it's outside of her. So they could have... They could have taken her egg and then what we think of as Salvor Hardin's mom use it to give birth. I was just sort of like, where were you in
right.
education class?
No, there's a stork. Come on, Paul.
Yes, that's what the creatures are who don't need to go to sleep.
That's right.
There's stories bringing
they have to people. Knapsacks with kids. Elvis, stop scaring the baby. All right. So the idea is, as you mentioned, they did that whole scene where they talked about how, we don't want to give birth on the ship, so blah, 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 blah. So that could be the reasoning behind how, Gale's egg has become Salvor, even though Gale wasn't involved. So the reasons I'm thinking of this, Salvor has visions. So she could have inherited that ability of dreams and visions from Gale.
Yes.
Familial trait. We know from this episode that Harry Seldon intended for Gale to go to Terminus. Right? He's like, don't get Gale involved. We want her to be in Terminus. Okay. So let's assume that's true. And Harry also somehow had built this vault for the planet. They can use on their arrival.
Yes.
Well, perhaps it was coded to be used to recognize Gale's DNA, let's say, which is why Salvor can get close to it, whereas no one else can. Right? And why it's also communicating to her because she has the DNA of Gale, and so
I think you may be upsetting many of our viewers who like it when you eat candy.
Okay. So you think this is a reasonable theory then? Okay.
It's a very reasonable theory.
All right.
In fact, it's a little too reasonable. Yeah.
That's why she's also having visions of Rach and Gale. She's seeing basically her parents.
Jeez. I'm
sorry. All right, there you go.
I'm sorry, candy viewers.
The candy viewer public.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. If I'm wrong, salt licorice on episode 10.
Keep your fingers crossed, guys.
Okay.
But,
but you like the idea.
I don't know.
It seems like it has the Paul seal of approval.
It does.
So,
it doesn't.
All right.
It doesn't. It's not like she's asleep. They're all asleep. No,
I think she's actually right. She's in the Matrix.
No.
Okay. All right.
One of your better theories.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
so that's kind of my, my thoughts on things. Again, I am all in on Trantor.
Yeah.
So more Trantor, the better.
Sure.
But there's this Invictus ship now out there, so, if you play the story out, they're going to get the ship. They're going to have to use it at least once. Blow up a planet with it, Death Star style. Sure. And then they got to destroy it. So, that's apparently going to happen, most likely.
Okay, we'll see.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll be back talking about Foundation, Episode 7. Come on back for that. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, sir.
Sure.
And we'll see everybody later. Bye.
Bye.